Imagine walking through one of America's busiest airports, JFK in New York or LAX in Los Angeles during what should be rush hour. But instead of long lines and frantic crowds, you hear your own footsteps echoing across empty halls. The seats are vacant, the passport lines deserted, and the only sound is the cold hum of the lights reflecting off polished floors. It feels more like a ghost town than the gateway to one of the most developed countries in the world. This is not science fiction, and it's not the middle of the night. It's happening right now. International arrivals to the United States have fallen by double digits in just the past year. Canada alone sent nearly 1 million fewer visitors in a single month, the equivalent of the entire population of San Francisco disappearing from immigration counters. Once loyal travelers from Germany, the United Kingdom, and South Korea are also turning away. Behind these quiet scenes lies something much louder. Billions of dollars in lost revenue, hundreds of thousands of jobs at risk, and the slow unraveling of America's reputation as the world's most welcoming travel destination. The money-printing machine known as U.S. tourism is stalling, and the consequences ripple far beyond airports. In this video, we'll uncover who is really paying the price when planes land empty and hotels sit half full. Politicians, corporations, or is it you, the ordinary American family? Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss future breakdowns of the American economy, politics, and society. When we talk about the collapse of U.S. tourism, the numbers tell a story that is both shocking and undeniable. In the past 12 months, international arrivals to the United States have dropped by more than 10%. To put that in perspective, imagine if a baseball stadium with 50,000 seats suddenly lost 7,000 fans. The empty rows would be impossible to ignore. Now, multiply that image across hundreds of airports nationwide, and you begin to see the scale of the crisis. The decline is not just annual, it's accelerating. In March alone, the number of foreign visitors plummeted by 14% compared to the previous year, the sharpest fall since the COVID-pandemic shut borders. This is not a seasonal dip or a minor slowdown. It is a structural decline that strikes at the heart of one of America's most profitable industries. The shock becomes even clearer when looking at individual countries. Canada, historically the closest and most reliable market for U.S. tourism, saw nearly 900,000 fewer visitors in a single month. That is roughly the size of San Francisco's entire population choosing not to come. Germany, the United Kingdom, and South Korea, all once steady contributors, are also turning their backs. Every empty seat on a plane, every unchecked passport, is not just a missed opportunity for tourism. It is money evaporating into thin air, tens of billions that would have flowed into hotels, restaurants, and local economies are now disappearing, leaving silence where once there was a constant hum of travelers. When people hear that fewer travelers are visiting the United States, the first explanation that comes to mind is usually cost. Airfare is expensive, hotel prices are rising, and the global economy feels shaky. And while those factors are true, they only scratch the surface. The deeper problem runs far beyond ticket prices. It's about how the world now sees America. For many international visitors, the first impression begins at the airport. Instead of a warm, "Welcome to the United States," too many are met with long interrogations, unexpected searches of their phones and laptops, and even sudden denials of entry over minor paperwork issues. What should feel like the start of a dream trip can quickly turn into a nightmare. In the age of social media, one bad experience is enough to ripple across millions of screens. A single video of a family held up at customs or a traveler being treated harshly spreads faster than any official marketing campaign. Word of mouth now works against U.S. tourism. There is also a labor problem. Seasonal visas have been cut, leaving hotels, restaurants, and airports short of workers. That means fewer staff at check-in counters, longer waits at restaurants, and a colder, less welcoming experience for those who do make the trip. Tourists who spend thousands of dollars to visit expect service, but many are now receiving delays and frustration instead. The result is simple. Travelers look elsewhere, and with each choice to visit Tokyo, Barcelona, or Toronto instead, the United States loses both money and reputation. When international travelers decide to stay away, the damage is measured not just in empty airport seats, but in cold, hard dollars. According to the U.S. Travel Association, America could lose more than $21 billion in a single year simply because fewer planes are landing filled with foreign visitors. That is not just a line in a spreadsheet. The $21 billion is enough to keep the lights on in the entire state of Texas for a year, or to build a dozen brand new hospitals. Instead of flowing into the economy, that money evaporates with each trip count. The losses don't stop there. Economists estimate the overall hit to the nation's gross domestic product could exceed $23 billion, while as many as 230,000 jobs are on the line. These are not abstract numbers. They represent chefs, housekeepers, taxi drivers, and even entertainers in places like Las Vegas who suddenly face fewer shifts and shrinking paychecks. Consider one family in Orlando, Florida. They operate a small hotel that once relied on European tour groups to fill their rooms during the summer. Last year, they welcomed guests from Germany and the United Kingdom. This year, bookings are down to less than one-third of normal levels. They have been forced to cut staff, and even their teenage son, who had hoped to head off to college, returned home to help clean rooms. Behind every statistic is a story like this. The collapse of tourism isn't only about lost revenue. It is about ordinary Americans being forced to pay the price. When people think about tourism, they often picture hotels, restaurants, and souvenir shops. But in reality, the industry reaches far deeper. When a plane full of international visitors doesn't land, the impact spreads through the economy like a row of falling dominoes. Start with the obvious. Hotels across the country have already lost more than 40,000 jobs, while restaurants have shed nearly 39,000. But the damage doesn't stop there. Gyms and fitness centers lose customers, theaters sell fewer tickets, and sports teams see smaller crowds. Even gas stations near airports feel the pinch when rental cars sit idle. Take Iowa, for example. Farmers who once supplied beef to steakhouse buzzing with international diners are now receiving fewer orders. Or look at Miami, where a small advertising agency specializing in campaigns for European tourists had to cut half its staff. And in Maine, a souvenir shop owner who used to sell American flag shirts to German and French families now faces empty aisles and unpaid bills. This happens because 9 out of 10 inputs for American hotels and restaurants come from domestic suppliers. Food, utilities, banking services, and advertising all rely on a steady stream of visitors. When a tourist decides to fly to Barcelona instead of New York, it's not just an empty bed in a hotel. It's also an unsold steak, a billboard left blank, and a delivery truck with nowhere to go. The collapse of tourism then is not isolated. It is a chain reaction, one that reaches from big city airports all the way to small-town America. For decades, America was seen as the land of opportunity, a place where visitors were greeted with open arms and endless possibilities. But today, that image is shifting, and not for the better. Countries that once sent millions of tourists here are now issuing official advisories urging travelers to be cautious when entering the United States. What used to be a warm welcome is slowly being replaced by a warning sign. The reason? Security has overshadowed hospitality. Travelers report being detained for hours over small visa issues, having their phones or laptops searched without explanation, or in some cases being denied entry altogether. What was once a dream vacation begins instead with suspicion and stress. And when those stories reach international news outlets or worse, go viral on social media, millions of potential visitors take notice. This isn't just about inconvenience. It is about trust. Once tourists begin associating the U.S. name with fear at the border rather than excitement, it becomes far harder to convince them to come back. In the meantime, other countries are seizing the opportunity. Japan, Spain, and even Canada have launched campaigns branding themselves as open, safe, and friendly. Exactly the qualities America used to be known for. The result is not just fewer tourist dollars, but a weakening of one of America's greatest strengths. Its soft power. A smiling welcome once sold the American dream better than any advertisement. But when the red carpet is replaced with barbed wire, the world takes its business and its admiration elsewhere. At first glance, it might seem like empty airports and fewer international tourists are problems only for airlines or hotel chains. But the reality is far more personal. The ones ultimately paying the price are ordinary Americans, families, workers, and local communities. When foreign visitors disappear, businesses scramble to cover their losses. Hotels and restaurants often raise their prices to make up the difference. That means the burger you used to buy for $8 now costs $12. A night in a mid-range New York hotel that once cost $150 suddenly jumps to over $200. And even though prices are climbing, the quality of service is falling. Why? Because labor shortages have left businesses without enough hands to clean rooms, serve meals, or run amusement park rides. Immigrant labor once filled nearly 1 in 5 jobs in the tourism and hospitality sector. But with seasonal visas cut and deportation fears growing, many businesses are left short-staffed. Families who used to take on extra shifts during peak season are now seeing their hours vanish. Retirees who looked forward to affordable vacations are shocked to find tickets and theme park passes climbing year after year. And when cities lose revenue from foreign tourists, they often plug the gap by raising local taxes, leaving residents to carry the burden. If this trend stretches into the next 5 years, experts warn the United States could lose $100 billion annually in international spending. Ghost towns in once thriving resorts, empty theme parks, shuttered restaurants. The losses won't fall on distant corporations, but on your community, your neighbors, and perhaps your own wallet. Empty airports are not just a travel story. They are a mirror of America's economy and its global image. Behind every unchecked passport and every missed flight is a lost job, a higher bill, and a community struggling to stay afloat. The collapse of tourism is not about corporations or politicians. It's about ordinary Americans paying more for less. So, what do you think? Have you already felt the impact in your own town or wallet? Share your experience in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more in-depth analysis.